welcome to the Carew podcast today, everybody. We've got Ben, who is co-founder of the Othership. Ben, how are you doing?
I'm really good, Marie. Brilliant to be here. Thank you for having me.
So it's an absolute pleasure to have Ben on today. I know Ben from the Othership, and he's such an amazing person. We have some amazing socials. So I'm going to quiz you today, and I'm going to start with, how did you get where you are, and what was your journey there?
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. So I'd always wanted to launch a business, and actually I'd spent many years working first as a mechanical engineer in automotive, generally as a sort of freelancer and contractor. And then I did a lot of commuting, which was a bit of a nightmare and I didn't enjoy. And actually I tried to start a few businesses that didn't really go anywhere just due to sort of time dedication and generally not having a co-founder to do it with. I wanted someone to share the journey. I then went into management consulting. I worked with this guy called Arno there for a few years in my team. And after a couple of years, we left, we went different ways. And he came to me a few months later saying, I'm not really enjoying my job. I've got this idea. I want to go ahead and do something. And it was something I was quite passionate about, actually. It was putting flexible workspaces everywhere to stop people having to be able to commute all over the place. And I was really up for it. We'd worked together, enjoyed a lot of that, and he gave me that opportunity to go and be an entrepreneur, and that's how we started.
So this part of the business, I'm not really understanding too much about, because I didn't actually really know that you did this. What's the rationale behind the flexible workspaces?
So the idea was actually first born of Arno's pain point. Arno was traveling around Europe, looking at doing merger and acquisition deals at the time for spaces in the technology space for automotive and transport, where we'd been sort of building some apps and things previously, and he'd gone into a role to do this. He found that he was working from like greasy McDonald's, noisy sort of Starbucks cafes, not being guaranteed a plug, Wi-Fi wasn't always good enough. And he just thought, this is crazy. I'm like an experienced professional, I'm traveling around. What am I meant to do? People can go, oh, there's things like WeWork, but they're really not everywhere. They're in central business districts. They're really expensive. They're not hyper flexible. You can't just drop in one for a day and then another one for a day. And if they do, they charge you an absolute fortune. So he wanted to open this network where he had somewhere to work from wherever he was. And he's quite a traveler like this. For me, I just hate commuting, like I said, and I wanted some local workspaces. So I really enjoyed the idea that we would put people living at home within like a 5-minute walk of a free workspace where they could connect locally with their community. So it was born of two different pain points like this, which is why we built something so flexible to suit so many different people's scenarios.
And how did the kind of community evolve? Was it the flexible workspace idea first and the community evolved, or was it one whole idea?
No, totally flexible workspace first. This is where we started with, and really focusing on free workspaces for people. What we actually did was to try and showcase to people how good some of these free workspaces were. We'd go and put on like a weekly networking event, and they would come together and we'd put coffee and croissants, network for like half an hour in the morning, and then co-work together for the rest of the day. And what was crazy was the same people started coming back every single week, and they started making friends with each other, and they started contracting or doing little pilots and projects together, because you were building this relationship and this trust through co-working together and getting to know each other. And we suddenly realized that the value in what we did wasn't the workspaces. Yeah, this is great. You can access a free workspace. This is nice. This is helpful. But where there was real value for people was learning on their journeys as new founders or entrepreneurs, people who were working from home and escaping that loneliness and gaining friendship, people who were freelancers who could pick up other freelance projects with the startups or learn from other freelancers in other areas or who've been on that journey before. And we learned just through watching and listening to people, really, that this is where the value lay. So we still provide the workspaces, but what we say now is it's all about connecting people, whether it's in our online side of the community or in the physical side through our workspaces.
And how did the digital part of the offering come around? Was that in relation to the last kind of couple of years, or was it just something that naturally developed out of the idea?
So it felt quite natural at a point in time when we were all meeting up doing these co-work and brunch events that there was a way for us to chat to each other. We were all sharing LinkedIn profiles when we were there. There used to be a great feature in LinkedIn where you could like search nearby, and we were doing this. And then he said, but the problem with LinkedIn is we get so many other messages. It's really annoying. There's so much noise. We don't use it that much. How do we have something that's more private? And we started off with a Slack group. So we debated a lot as a group whether it was going to be WhatsApp or Slack. I will say and admit to, it's one of the very few times as a founder I totally disregarded the majority of our membership and I chose Slack over WhatsApp. I'm really glad we did, because I think WhatsApp's limited to like 265 people and there's so much noise, and we've broken way through this in Slack, and without all the channels we can manage it. So I think that was a good decision. Hopefully, I hope they forgive me for this 2.5 years later.
And how did the French channel come about?
Well, the French channel is Arno, my co-founder, is French. We run our Pitch for Investment for event that we run every month here in the UK. We also run it in France. We don't have workspaces yet over in France, but we thought it was a nice way to reach out to some of the French community. Arno knew a lot of other entrepreneurs in there. We had some connections with some exciting VCs like the family, and a great partnership with C Legals as well, who are in the French market. So for us, it was just a way to build a bit of awareness about what we do and spread our network and our community out across into sort of mainland Europe. And so, yeah, we really enjoy doing the event over there. It's a good one for people to check out. And obviously, we're about meaningful connections. We don't want you to just join the event and never follow up. So they can come over, join the French channel over there, and the founders and the freelancers and the investors can all discuss over with each other in French if they like.
So what's your kind of ideal client? What kind of demographics do you have, and what do you offer them?
So I guess from our side, we don't necessarily have an ideal client for us. We love people who give back across the community. That's always fantastic. We love people who learn from the community. We understand that there's both sides. People who are earlier on the journey will want to learn from others who are more experienced. And for those who are more experienced, who are enjoying our workspaces, if you ever find the time, it's great to jump into our Slack and try and ask some of those ask for help for people who are sort of up and coming on the journey. The type of people who use our service historically was freelancers and founders. And Arno and I always believed, but it was a belief, that we were on a sort of 10 to 20 year journey that businesses would start adopting flexible working more and more. There are great examples like the guys behind WordPress. They all work remotely. They always have done. This is a huge global enterprise. And I think they set a leading example. Coronavirus obviously changed that world significantly. So that sort of 10 to 20 year journey where we thought larger enterprises would come and use our services, that just got accelerated massively. It's why we're sort of going through quite a stressful growth phase at the moment, just making sure that we're able to accommodate the demand. But it's been super exciting. We launched venues nationally over the last few weeks, and so check out what we're doing there.
And you actually run a lot of events on the Othership website as well, don't you, for entrepreneurs that need kind of input in certain areas? What kind of events do you run?
So as I was telling you a little bit before, I have a funny nickname internally for them on must do, how to. So a good example for this is SEIS and EIS. If anyone out there is a founder who is looking to raise investment and you don't know what SEIS and EIS is, please go and check it out and read. There's a load of articles you can find online. We do an event that is a training session that people can join either for free as our premium members or just £15 as a guest. And the idea is that we train you how to go and do that SEIS and EIS application yourself. Really not that hard with the documents you need to build. And it's a good example of how we just want to support founders on that journey. Anyone else as an accountancy or lawyer, and sorry guys who are members in the accountancy and legal sectors in our services, will charge you anywhere from like £250 up to a few £1,000s. Their services are great. You absolutely will need them to close your investment rounds in some form. You don't need them for your SEIS and EIS, so we like to show you how to do it.
So I had never ever heard of this before I joined the community. for those of us that have got literally no idea, what are funding rounds and SCIS? What are these things?
So for people who are launching businesses that they want to seek investment from either like venture capital firms or from investment groups or angel investors, like you see on sort of Dragon's Den being the sort of example we all know at home of watching angel investing, then there's something called SEIS and EIS. It lets those early stage investors who are investing in sort of risky businesses, so anything like a mobile application or I'm trying to think of other things that would count as significantly risky businesses. It's much easier to tell you what it doesn't count. You can't go and start a bank. You can't go and be a hotelier and open a chain of hotels. You can't go and buy property and get SEIS and EIS. But a lot of other businesses do qualify. And it means that the investors get a tax incentive, which allows them to get back a portion of what they've invested into your business. There are certain requirements. I'm not going to go into them all here because they're really quite boring to listen to, but come and join the event if you are interested, and you will hear all the requirements, and we tell you exactly who is eligible for these and who is in both as a business and an investor.
And you also do the fun side of things where you run socials. I've found that to be absolutely fantastic to meet other members of the community. What was the kind of thoughts behind that? How did you come up with it?
So this was just the community shouting at me. So the people who I refused to give a WhatsApp group to, and I gave them a Slack group, they did get a social event. They pestered me for so long. They helped us launch our first ever social event. Jodie Kasma out there, thank you for putting our like first banner together and our first social. And we used to meet up and grab a few drinks and get like a 2-for-1 deal in one of our workspaces in Aldgate. Thanks to New Road Hotel who used to do this to us. And then those who wanted to stay on, we'd go down to Brick Lane and go and have a curry. And it's just like going out for work drinks with your colleagues, but for people who didn't have colleagues, or for people with smaller teams who wanted a group to go and hang out with. We're working out how to do these nationally now, like watch this space over the next couple of months. By the time this airs, they might even be a Friday social last Friday of the month in real life in quite a few cities across the UK. And I think that will be there. So yeah, we'll see. I shouldn't have said that online. We'll see. But I think it'll be happening. Watch this space. COVID is crazy time.
So another question I wanted to kind of ask is, what is the journey of a co-founder like? Is it very roller coastery?
I guess it's different for different founders, but yeah, I'd say for most people it probably is, because you sort of go on this wave, at least between like funding rounds, then delivering things, then panicking as you're sort of running out of money and going into another funding round. So yeah, you're going to have ups and downs. You're going to test new service lines and new products. So something might be doing really well, but then you try and widen your audience and it won't engage well with them, and all sorts of difficult things that you just maybe do face in a job working for someone else, but it's less personal and it's less tied to your whole way of life. You know, you're very unlikely to lose your job if a marketing campaign goes badly, but if you take too much risk with too limited finance as a startup, it could be the end of you. So yeah, it is scary, and like the one tip, if anyone ever asks, like, and I say it time and time again, it's the one that always gets me emotional as well, is like, have a co-founder. Like, have a co-founder. I could not do this without my co-founder. Like, it's hard. It's hard work.
It's so tough being an entrepreneur and a founder. And the thing is, you're so emotionally attached to your business as well. I'm the same. And when I see it not working as well as I want it to, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, how am I going to fix this? And it might be that I need to find someone else or do something different, and I'm not quite sure. And you can end up on such a roller coaster with it. Have you got any kind of tips to keep people resilient that are on this journey?
Honestly, I think I've learned for myself, like incremental gains. Um, it's so unlikely that you are just going to blow up overnight and do well. It's just not how things work in life. And if it was that simple, then lots of other people would be doing it as well. Incremental games make a big difference. I play quite a bit of chess, and I think that's like a nice example over in chess. Like, yeah, you can win a chess game in 3 moves, but that doesn't happen because the other people who are also playing chess against you are not total morons, and we all have competitors and other people in the market and people trying to do things. So you have to then look for those tiny incremental gains where in a chess game, taking a pawn to someone who's not played for very long feels like no big deal. Hey, I'm still going to win this game. No, that's a really big deal when you get to the end game in those critical moments. So when things are going badly, just remember, like, did I try and improve it? Have I learned how to improve it if it hasn't worked? And take those small, tiny little margins, and they will stack up over time, and have the resilience to let that happen. It's a really hard thing to do. Having support from friends, family, co-founders is helpful. People like Anise in our community who are resilience coaches to help talk to about it. It is a hard and emotional journey.
It's so nice to kind of see the emotion behind the business, because your offering in the Othership is so kind of from the heart, and you can really tell that you're kind of so attached to it and you're so invested in the success. It's fantastic to see.
Yeah, I mean, it's exhausting. It is so exhausting, but we do absolutely love it. I would never want to go back to working for someone else. I'm going to say that, like going and working in a company somewhere else. The freedom that it offers me is just next to none. So I'm always so grateful to anyone who uses our membership, who enjoys it, who offers feedback if they don't enjoy it. I appreciate that too. It's hard to hear, but I'd much rather know. So for everyone who ever like sends a message rather than just cancels and leaves and like it's like, Ben, you've got to sort this out. Thank you. Sorry if you get a curt reply. You do get one later, about an hour later, going, I've fixed it now. Thank you so much for telling me. Yeah, you know, it is an emotional journey. We do put our heart and soul into.
And is it as glamorous as what people think? Do you get to fly around everywhere and have big business meetings?
Yeah, of course. You know, we promote working from anywhere for freelancers and founders. This is what it's like. You get to fly. No, it's definitely not. It's really hard work. But absolutely no. But you do get some freedoms that you don't get in the other sense. You know, Arnaud's been able to go to and from France, which has been really helpful for him to provide support to his family. Our events and community manager is based in Madrid, and she's therefore able to provide some support to her family. We do have people like Jules, our SEO analyst. She managed to go surfing and things in the South Spain. If you ever want to know how to do it properly, don't ask me. I am the worst, but I love working from home. Flexible working from me is all about working from home, and I love this. And I get to go climbing, and that is what I'm doing when I get off this call, and that for me is my passion. Jules, for digital nomads, she is a shining example of how you can have a really good quality of life and fly around the world and go surfing and do these kind of things. What's been most apparent, I think, of how we work as Othership as a team this year and the flexible working and what it provided to us was actually family support. That was probably the key thing this year. I got to spend some time with my nephew, Arnaud with his father, Lucia now over in Spain with her family and with her mother, and Laura as well going over to Germany for her partner's father and with her own father. So for all of us, family time has been critical, and it's something that wouldn't have been enjoyed if we were in full-time employment going to someone else's office every day.
So really the main kind of takeaway from this type of lifestyle and business is freedom, I suppose.
Definitely, that's our core central tenet that we really believe, and it's a few different freedoms. A freedom to sort of work from anywhere. I think a freedom of thought. This is one that is, to me, critical. I love being an entrepreneur because I get to think and execute my thoughts with my decisions without having to make 15 presentations explaining what an API is or what something else is. I can just go and do it, which I absolutely love. A freedom of expression, I think, is important as well, like your tone of voice and how you express yourself. I like to smoke. I like to go around in a hoodie. I don't really care that much about my appearance. That wasn't awesome as a management consultant. However good my delivery was, much more appropriate as a founder working from home. So yeah, loads of different freedoms that people get from this way of life.
Well, Ben, we're coming to the end of the interview, and we are going to link everything down below so that you can just click straight through to the Othership community and see what Ben's up to. Do you want to just let everybody know where they can find you on the internet?
Yeah, I think the best way to find us at the moment actually is we have a pledge running for people who want to try working the other way. We're asking people as like a bit of a social experiment to not go back to your office 5 days a week. And actually for people who work from home, that also includes you. So don't stay in your home office 5 days a week. Try and escape once a week to either a local or a really like inspiring workspace that you've been wanting to go to. Obviously, they're not mutually exclusive. You can have local and inspiring at the same time as well. So we have a pledge campaign for asking people to go and try this. We'll give you an extended free trial on Othership to say thank you for trying it. That will give you access to these free workspaces. You can cancel anytime. We are hyper flexible. We don't want to force people to be stuck in something they don't want to. The link we can put down in the chat, but it is othership.com. You might see a pop-up if you come in, but otherwise / the other way pledge. I had to go and check with myself there, but yes, it is / the other way pledge.
When this podcast airs, there'll be an offer, won't there, for one more week?
Yeah, there'll only be a week left on the extended free trial while doing that. It means we normally do a 2-week free trial for everyone. We always want people to come and try out what we do first and see if it's right for them and work out what type of plan might be right for them and meet some other community members first. So we'll be doing an extended free trial, so you can get 3 weeks free trial if you sign up on the day you hear this. If you've heard this a week later, don't worry, there's still 2 weeks, but just go in via the normal website.
Well, thank you so much for being a guest, Ben. It's been absolutely fantastic. And if you want to listen to more of our amazing guests, you can go to carew.coaching.com/podcast and you can leave us questions for all our guests and they will answer them live. Thank you so much again, Ben. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Oh, my pleasure, Marie. I love it. I always love chatting to you and hanging out on the socials.